CP3, Robbie G, live from the lab, Sports OTHP, episode 221, coming to you live from the lab, April 12th, 2021.
By CP3. Beats by CP3.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.
What's going on, people? Welcome back. It's Monday night, Sports on the Hill podcast. You see the new intro. We got new things going on. You got Robbie G streaming live on Twitch starting as of last week. You got the new intro for us. We got some more things coming. Robbie starting a new show in a few weeks. I'm on At the Bar Radio on Sundays. I got a fresh video I'll be showing at the end of the show, along with Renegade, of course. But we'll get to that at the end of the show. We want to welcome you to another great episode of Sports on the Hill podcast. We're bringing you Capitals talk, Nationals talk, and unfortunately 1-5 week. And then we also have the NBA roundtable with the Washington Wizards taking on the Utah Jazz. And Robbie G in the roundtable will definitely be giving live look-ins. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Robbie G, how are you doing tonight in the man cave?
I'm doing okay. Can you hear me okay? I'm
Oh, yeah,
doing
you
like
coming
8
in
things
loud
at
and clear.
once. All right, perfect. Sounds good. Yeah, no, it's been a pretty good day. I took a much needed day for myself today, but I'm now rested and recharged for an interesting podcast. We've got the Wizards who went 2-2, the Capitals went 2-2, the Nationals didn't do that well, but right now they're in a 1-1 game in the top of the fifth, and they've got a base runner with 2 out. So hopefully they can make something here, which would be nice. It's nice to have live baseball once again on the Sports on the Hill podcast. It's been a while.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's good. And then in just a few minutes, the Wizards game is also starting. So we'll have 2 live games actually on tonight's show. We both have live in the lab and in the man cave. So we've got all the breaking scores and updates. But Carol, it was deadline day in the NHL, and most of our big news comes out of that. But I'll let you start with any other news, and then we'll that'll be what we tail into. Anything else in the sports world we want to talk about, or?
Yes, we could talk about the Nationals. You know, we can talk a little bit about that, you know, with the slow start that they've had with some of the COVID issues. We'll be breaking that down after we talk Capitals. But, you know, just a slow start for the team, and just want to tell fans, and it seems like we say this for all teams we cover, relax. Take it easy. The season's just starting. You can't already be mad. I mean, it's 1-5. You know, it's not the best start, but you know, there's some issues going on that are hopefully going to be taken care of, and they can get the lineup back and to where they wanted to be, and hopefully can start producing some runs, as Robbie mentioned. It's tied 1-1 the bottom of the fifth, and there's really not too much other things I want to speak about in sports. You know, the Washington football team, the draft is coming up. We've heard a couple of rumors about them trading up for one of the quarterbacks, what was it, trade long or something like that. I can't, I don't cover college, so. But there's been a lot of rumors. I haven't been able to confirm or deny anything because it's a busy time in the all season for some of our sources. So stay tuned for our pre-draft and off-season special. I'm coordinating with Dujane now, so we'll be streaming in as we always do in the off-season. Break down some of the potential draft picks and some of the players that can help this team, get to the next level. We've seen them make some nice moves in free agency. Now, draft is around the corner, so it's going to be very interesting to see where they go. I've heard some things about possibly going linebacker or offensive lineman. We've addressed the wide receiver, situation, I feel. So I wouldn't be mad if they added to the defense once more about getting the first round pick. We know they need help at linebacker, so I wouldn't be mad if they made that choice. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into this trade deadline talk that definitely caught me by surprise. Nope, you didn't muted yourself, Robbie.
You're right, I did. I was clicking and clacking, and I was like, I don't think anyone needs to hear that. So, so I want to pull up a couple different things. If you want to go to facebook.com/sportsothb, we have all the late breaking news on there. We have all these stories I'm about to go over up there with much more detail, with links and articles and lots of screenshots. But the simple thing is Caps fans are going to get to come back, and so will Wizards fans into the building. And so that's one of the biggest pieces of news that came out of today, actually, because this morning they finally announced how that rollout was going to happen. And so we have a lot of posts on that, this morning's post. But basically, the quick end of it is on April 21st, Wizards fans will return against the Golden State Warriors. On April 27th, the Caps fans will return against the New York Islanders. So I was hoping that we get some Caps fans in there this week. That's not ending up to happen. They need to do a couple more things. They'll be hosting approximately 2,100 fans at each game, with a lot of the tickets being reserved to honor first responders and frontline workers for the COVID response. So in the coming days, they will reach out to season ticket holders. Now, I've talked to a couple season ticket holders today, actually, about what sort of messaging they're getting. And they're saying these tickets are non-transferable. So you have to go with the names that are on the tickets. You can't buy and resell. They're turning off the ability for resale for the rest of this season. So that's interesting.
Are they doing the same thing like Brian was mentioning about, we talked about last week about them having vaccination cards and stuff like that, or they're not going that extent?
There is a whole list of health safety protocols that they're going to go into. I'm not going to go into all of it because it's so long, but it's all on the Facebook page. But I believe that you will have to, there'll be temperature checks, things like that. I didn't have time to read all of it today, but it is all written out there. And then there's going to be more information that come as we get closer to April 21st. So I'm not exactly sure if it's all the things that was with Brian, so I didn't get a chance to check all that out. But I do know that they had a lot of safety stuff and precautions. And they've been able, the governor was able to open it up for a larger percentage, 25%, I believe, now for Nationals games and DC United games as well for the outdoor thing. So 10%, I think it was, for the internal ones, and a little bit larger for the outside one. So that's good news for sports fans in the Washington, D.C. area, which we have many of on this show. So that's one of the big news things. So I definitely encourage people to go check that out, monumentalsports.com/health-safety. You can read about all their health protocols that they're going to do there, and there's a lot more information on that. But basically, the quick is that we're going to have fans back, and I think that we're going to get the right people in place. They're also partnering with different cleaning companies, so that way they could do stuff like that. So anyway, that's the first piece of news that I wanted to talk about. And the other piece of news is obviously that we got Anthony Mantha from the Red Wings, who a lot of Caps fans don't know who he is, but he was one of the top line players for the Detroit Red Wings. And people are like, oh, well, top line for them. But his numbers were not bad, and he played for a much worse team. So I want people to say, hey, look, I know that we traded him for Jacob Brana. I know we're going to have Anna on in a few minutes, and I'm sure she's going to be very sad about it, as I am too. I think that Jacob Vrana has a lot of upside, but we've seen it in the past. Sometimes players run their course with certain teams and certain coaches, and he just wasn't doing the things that our coach wanted him to do. It's not to say he's a good or a bad player, but it just wasn't working out. It wasn't the right fit. And if you look at the last 3 years in the playoffs, Vrana didn't produce a whole lot of points. Now, I know that this guy hasn't even been in the playoffs, right, because Detroit has been, like, missing the playoffs, and so he doesn't have as, many stats about that. But I think that you should look at him like another Tom Wilson type, a big rig player who can come in and can finish. And he was finishing with centers that are not even half the quality that you would have in a Nicholas Backstrom or a Panik. All right, sorry, or a Kuznetsov. We also had to deal Panik as part of that deal with Jacob Vrana. We also got Michael Raffle, who kind of got lost in the trade from the Flyers as kind of a person to have in the forward ranks at kind of a lower level. So he's probably going to be your odd man out on most given nights, but he can slate in a bottom, 6 role. So that's always important to have a couple of those players. He's played for Philadelphia for forever. I mean, he was one of their longest tenured players, I believe. So his numbers don't light him up, but he's obviously a grizzled veteran and has played in our division for a very long time and knows what that takes. So those are the big moves that are coming out of the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Other teams have made a lot of moves as well. But Carol, what are your quick thoughts on that?
The Jacob Vrana, I was a fan of his. You are correct. He hadn't really taken off in the playoffs. He's shown the potential. Like I said, I was likening him to Kuzi when Kuzi finally broke out in the playoffs, and then he became the superstar that he on the verge of becoming a superstar that he can become with the potential that we saw. But as you said, obviously things weren't clicking with the coach. He didn't see the effort that he wanted, and I watched him, closely during games, and I could agree there was sometimes where he wasn't putting in the effort, putting in the hustle, and getting a player of this caliber, this size, with 3 years on his contract. Yeah, he has a nice number, but you got 3 years. Rana was a free agent at the end of the season, so I mean, to me, seems like a good trade. Let's just see how it translates on the ice. Hopefully, this helps, and especially with the addition from the guy from Philly, we know what type of hustle and grit those guys had, and hopefully that'll help this team get it together, not just defensively, but in some of the offensive aspects of getting more presence in front of the goalie and getting some more of those dirty goals that we're used to seeing this team getting before.
So I have to apologize. My Twitch stream never seemed to load in correctly. So I'm trying to see if I reset that, if that'll stream a little bit better. But it's just weird. It's not even, like, the audio seemed to be working, but no video. But anyway, so I apologize to anybody that was on there. I'm going to try to see if I can fix that. But overall, yeah, I mean, I think it's easy for people to say, oh, it's another ERAT trade, and they're already looking at the worst possible scenarios. It's also easy for me to be like, this is the best possible thing, and it's going to work out great for us. I mean, the reality is it's going to come somewhere in between, but for me, if you can trade for some players that can help today, I want, the other teams made a lot of moves at the deadline. We got to see if, if we can match that a little bit. And I just don't think Verana was consistent enough. We saw glimpses of what it was, but maybe this guy can help solidify that position.
Yeah, we can only wait and see. They made some trades in 2018 and made a difference in, that Stanley Cup run. Let's see what happens this season, because we definitely need some improvement, especially on the defensive end. Giving up these 2-goal leads is really starting to get on my nerve.
For sure. All right. Well, I think that's all I've got. I have no idea what's going on with Twitch, but I'll try to fix that once you bring Anna in. I think we're ready to talk hockey if you're ready. And we can break down. Well, first of all, hi Anna. How are you doing?
I'm. Oh.
I know. I'm sorry.
I was like, what side is he on here?
Yeah, it's there. The first one was right. Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sorry that this will probably be the last time we'll use that background. But
little Jacob Brana Memorial, but I will say, Carol, I read your comments before about people liking players, for them as a person versus sometimes who they are as a player. I know I'm but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think that Jacob Bronner was one that a lot of fans just kind of fell for because he had he was just an overall good guy. But for me, I like from the beginning was like, oh, this kid has so much talent, and we just need to give him a chance. And his speed, it's going to take him far. And I wish him the best of luck. And I think that it is what it is. Like sports is a business, so I just have to take my number 13. Of course, I say that now, but my God, if this is Tom Wilson, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah.
Nah, Tommy ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You got to worry about that.
So this was hard to swallow, but the kid is young and has again so much potential. I don't doubt that he's going to do well. Maybe it's just new environment, I don't know what, because I have no complaints about him. Ponick, I think I was sort of 50-50 with for a long time about his inconsistencies. But then again, Brana was inconsistent. So I guess I have to look at it that way and just wish him both luck. I don't know.
It's hard. Yeah, I don't even know what to tell fans of Jacob, because I liked him too. I don't think it's not like I'm sitting over here like, woo, we got rid of that one. But, it's
Woo, we
just
got
like,
rid of Orla.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be interesting. But, his number, Mantha's number is going to start with a 3. I know you like the number 3. So
Yeah.
maybe that'll bridge the gap between the 3 and my favorite number is 9, as we've talked about Orlov many times. And so maybe the combination of 3 and 9 together could be lucky for that position. I just think if he is, I don't know if you got a chance to see some of these highlights, but if he is another Tom Wilson type where he can grind it out down low, get some of these puck battles. That was my big problem with Verana is Verana's great on the speed, but if he's not in a breakaway scenario, it's tough for him. He gets knocked off the puck a lot. And I think if you got another Tom Wilson, you see rarely get knocked off the puck, right?
Right.
If you have another one of those guys on the other side that can get it to Backstrom, that can get it to the other, to a finisher, and it could go both ways, that could be a lethal second line. And then you've got Kuzi giving it to both, TJ Oshie and obviously Ovi on the other side. I think that really could solidify our top 2 lines, which is something that I think we need. And it's one thing I thought Brana's been good, but speaking of his inconsistency, his playoff numbers have been terrible. And he had one great goal in the 2018 playoffs, and so people thought he had a great 2018 playoffs. He only had 3 goals in that run. It wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire. And I'm not sure he's had any goals in the last 2, or very few. So, you need somebody who could be a little bit bigger, I think, in the playoffs, especially to get it's who we're facing. It's the Pittsburgh, it's the Bostons, it's the Islanders. And I just feel like too often Verana was knocked off the puck against those opponents. And so
I mean, really what it came down to me was it was the inconsistencies, and I had to be honest with myself that aside from thinking he's adorable and loving the number 13 and appreciating him as a player or as a teammate, I should say. How about that? Appreciating him, as a teammate. As a player, the inconsistencies really started to kind of come to, I don't know, fruition. Like this year was like, what is the deal? Like I don't know if it's a mental block or whatever it was, but it was really hard to see and come out strong and then nothing for 11 or 12 games or whatever it was. And so now you can kind of look back and say, okay, Laviolette as a coach did the right thing with benching him. And I think we all kind of saw, benching is never a good sign. So
I mean, sometimes you have to bench him to get him to, get their head right and start giving the effort. And you saw flashes of that, but like you said, it wasn't on a consistent basis. You know, back checking, hustling when there's a break the other way to try to, get back. Those things you weren't seeing from him all the time. He only wanted to use his speed when he was on offense instead of using his speed on defense. You see Connor Sherry out there, hustling offense, defense, all the time, 100 miles an hour. He doesn't take a shift off, but you see Rana taking shifts off every now and again, especially on the defensive side. So, I mean, I saw the potential the same way Robbie saw the potential in Andre Burakovsky. He's out in Colorado having a pretty decent season, and he's
Yeah.
probably and Ron is probably going to do pretty good in Detroit once they get they figure
I
out
think
which direction they're going to go.
I think he'll fit their system a lot better. And I think a Richard Panik could maybe fit that system better too. I think they both could flourish there where maybe they couldn't just because it's just not the right fit. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
these players are bad or good. Sometimes that happens where maybe he fit Trotz's system a little bit better. But again, the numbers, I think Vrana could do much better. I don't
Yeah.
think that Vrana's numbers were ever like, oh my God, he had streaks where you saw these flashes and these moments, and you're like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
But like for me, it was always a consistency thing. It's like, can he be that guy over the course of the whole season, and particularly when it matters the most in the playoffs? I think that's where for me, I had not seen enough from him. And
Yeah.
he didn't respond to the benching very well. He pouted a lot. He was
Yeah.
complaining a lot. That's not what you want to see. You want to see a guy like, oh, I need to step up, and then they take it to the next level. And I don't feel like we necessarily saw that. Maybe glimpses of it here and there, but it just wasn't, to me, it's not like they didn't give him very many opportunities this season. They tried him on almost every line.
Well, and I think with Jersey is kind of that rebuilding team. It's kind of gone and it's ebb and flow on having good players and then not so much. And I think that if you were to add a Verona and a Ponic to that team, it's going to benefit both of them because it's kind of like, hey, here's your opportunity to really shine. Here's your opportunity to start fresh, clean slate. Whatever mindset you're in. Let's go with it. And Jersey, you just don't know. Like I was, so they're rebuilding their team. We'll see what happens with these guys, and I hope nothing but the best for them. So yeah, it was hard as a fan to let Bronna go, but as another fan, you need to see the consistency. So
It's a game about results. You got to produce. If you don't produce, you got to be gone. It's you can like it as much as you want, but they're here for a reason to produce on the ice. And same thing with football, same thing with basketball, same thing with baseball. If you're not producing, eventually you're going to run out of chances because the coach isn't going to risk losing his job because you're not doing your job.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of people commenting on here as well. The thought was already commenting. The trade was a surprise, but it was also necessary. Brana needs a fresh start. It was going to cost too much to keep him. I think that's another part. The terms and the number of years, when they asked GM why he did this, he liked the idea that he didn't need to now have contract negotiations with Brana in the offseason, and he could focus more on Ovechkin. Right, so like having somebody over the next couple of years, and you know that you got that position, and if he doesn't work, then maybe you expose him in this draft, right? And then it comes off the books in one fell swoop instead of having to try to get rid of two players off the books. You're getting rid of one, and then people bringing up the Erat trade pisses him off. Yes, it was a bad trade. If we keep Forsberg, then we don't trade for Oshie. We probably don't have a cup. People should move on. And I agree. You may not get a Kuzi. You may not get Oshie. There's a lot of stories that might not happen if we had Forsberg. And I think that it's the worst trade in the history, so it's easy to go back to it, but it's also not necessarily helpful in the construction of a future championship team and what we should do going forward.
Exactly.
So, but
well, and it was funny because actually before you and Brian sent out the message today about Brana and Ponick being traded, something alerted. I was testing a student, and my phone went off, and it was from some Caps group, and somebody was saying, "I cannot believe it, but Brana and Eller have been traded."
Oh no, they're not getting rid of Ella.
What? I mean, and so like here I am, like trying to focus on this kid, and give this test and be professional and looking at this like, what the? Are you kidding me? Like wanting to write people, and then it was a correction, and I thought that's a pretty big correction. Pretty big difference between Eller and Ponick. So like, let's not put anything out there that bold without researching first.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention, because there's two other parts to that trade, the Ponick part and the moving of two draft picks. I just want to address that part real quickly, because people
Yeah.
are like, how do you give that much away for one player, right? That just seems crazy if you look at it
Right.
on paper. The thing is, you kind of have to look at it, and I've seen a couple of reporters talk about it this way, as two trades. We got to get rid of the Ponick one, because yes, we were like hiding him, and we were trying to get some cash back by putting him on the taxi squad or whatever, but he's still guaranteed a few more years. So you got to do something with that contract.
Mm.
So to just get rid of that contract, we're giving a pick away. So that's one pick to get rid of a contract. Now you look at it as separately. Now it's one pick and a player for a player, right? So like you got to kind of look at it like
Okay.
that. You can't look at it as they're giving up all these things for one player, right?
Right,
It's a
right.
little bit
That
more
makes
than
sense.
that for the cap situation, because no one wanted Ponick's salary. That's why we couldn't. That's why no one even picked them up off waivers, right? It's $2 million. People forget that, right? So that's a lot of
Yeah.
money that it's hard to just move.
Yeah.
So that's part of that's part of the deal. And the other thing is the picks that we're giving up are this year's picks, which is way less important than giving up a future pick. And the reason is that no one has been able to scout players correctly this year. So
Yeah.
no one knows if those first round picks are going to show up or be anything. Heck, you could maybe get a steal in the 5th round that might be much better than a first round. We don't know. Is
Yeah,
the reality.
that's true.
And so giving up a first and a second in a year where there's so much uncertainty is different than giving up a 1 and a 2 in a year where the draft board is set. And there's also not a whole lot of prospects out there right now that are jumping off the board saying, you got to get this guy.
Right.
And so I think those are things you got to consider as well. I think it's easy to be like, I can't believe it's a first and a second rounder and all this. I'm like, well, you got to play it out, right? You know, and
Yeah,
also
but-
they're trying to make a move to win now, not in the future.
Robert, we
Win-
can sit here all night and try to get the fans on the right mindset, and we won't even talk about any other scores or recap. We didn't already spent 20 minutes talking about this.
Yeah.
The fans, they are going to get it. They are going to get it. They're going to be upset, even if the Caps win 8-0 every night. They're still going to find something to be upset about. So, ain't no reason to keep on beating the dead horse. The deal is done. They don't like it. You got two choices: ride with it, shut up, or roll and go somewhere else. Simple as that.
Somebody's correcting me. It was a first this year and a second next year. So thank you for that correction. That's a little bit worse, but it's not a first next year and a second this year. So, you know, so like I would still, in my mind, a little better. But
We'll
anyway.
see how it all plays out. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. If we win the cup, it's the best trade that's ever happened. And if we go out in the first round, maybe it's the worst. So, we'll have to see how
We
it
just
goes
don't know.
on that. All right, with all of that, Anna, let's break down the worst two games of the week, and then we'll get into the better games. Yeah.
It'll be very quick because that first game was like, what? So last Tuesday, Caps played the Islanders. One goal in the third period. And I will say, I still feel like he has the biggest porn name, but his name is Brock Nelson. And so he scored. And that was it. It was 1-0. But I will say it was a much better game than the 8-4 loss they had the week prior to the Islanders. So I think that the Capitals improved their game. They tightened things. It seemed a little bit more awake, let's say. But still, it was kind of a meh game. And one of the worst parts was it shots on goal. When we hit the third period, the Capitals had 10 and the Islanders had 20. So it kind of told you this team is, they kind of just gave up, unfortunately. So whatever. Porn star Brock Nelson scores.
I can't agree with it. They gave up. The Islanders only have 3 losses at home all season. They're a different team at home. This game, was a hard-fought defensive battle. They had more shots, but they were, at home. It's like they played differently at home than they do on the road. And that goal late in the a little past midway of the third, I had a feeling that was going to, be it because Varlamov was on point that night. He was locked in and he was on it. But I feel like the Caps played with effort, 200 feet. They were playing solid defensively, and unfortunately, The Islanders got the bounce of the puck at the right time and got the goal, but I feel like this was a quality game, even though it was a loss. No moral victories in any sport, but I feel like, some games that they played that they won that they didn't deserve to win. This game they played well enough to win, but unfortunately they didn't win. So I feel like it just balanced itself out from some of the games that they've won that they maybe shouldn't have won when they've given up 2 and 3 goal leads.
Yeah, I think you guys have kind of stated it all. I mean, I was disappointed, obviously, because at the time when it was 0-0, I said to myself, the next goal wins, and then within the next 5 minutes, they scored, and I'm like, well, there it is, but you could kind of see it being a 1-0 game, and I mean, we knew this. I mean, we were the guy that drafted that phenomenal goalie, and I still have on my wall, over there. So, I've always been a big Varlamov fan. He never worked out for our team. It's another one of those situations where we knew he was going to flourish somewhere else. He was never bad. I just think that he got into that goalie controversy. If you remember back in the day, things happen. But I always thought he was a good goalie, and I mean, you could see it in this game. But I didn't think they necessarily tested him enough either. But the Islanders do that to a team; they'll just shut you down. So,
I mean, we know who the coach is, and we know what he can do. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is, but there's not a whole lot more I can add to the conversation. There was only one goal in the game. So, but with that, we can move on to the next game, which was, I would say, a more disappointing loss than that game, because you could kind of be like, a 1-0 could have gone either way.
The 1-0 was meh. This one was like, what the hell?
Yeah, this one stung a little bit more for me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm 100%. So Thursday, Capitals played Boston, and Boston leads 2-0 into the second period. And at 4:09, Marchand scores a shorty. But then Ovi comes back and scores his 20th with a power play goal assisted by Carlson and Oshie. So we're like, yay, there's a chance. And 19 seconds later, Oshie scores his 12th with the power play goal assisted by Carlson, which was his 24th, and Backstrom's 27th. But Boston pulls off the win, scoring the only goal in the third. So we have a 4-2 loss. This sucked. I'm just like, I just can't say anything else. This was a big disappointment. I feel like the team just did not give 100%. And I know we're always like, blah, 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 play 60 minutes of hockey and this and that. Of course. But I felt like they just didn't come out strong. They just, nah. So this was not okay. And especially when you have a Marchand goal, it's like, ugh. But I will say that this was definitely a big wake-up call for their face-off percentage, because you have 58.3 for Boston and 41.7 for the Capitals. That's like a big weakness there that they needed to kind of have a little come to Jesus moment in the locker room to talk about, because this is terrible. But yeah, this game sucked, and that's it.
And to me, this game was kind of crazy off the break. They scored 33 seconds into the game on a goal that squeaked through that should have been a save but wasn't. Then they got the second goal off of clearing the temp off to Stanchion that took a crazy carom and ended up in the back of the net. So after the first period, it's 2-0, and the Caps like, what the hell happened? Then they get the double minor, along with another penalty to put them on 5-on-3, scored twice on the power play. I felt like they should have tied the game up.
But Carol, they actually took 3 penalties on that. That's why the 5-on-3, right? Because the 5-on-3 restarted again.
Yeah.
Right after they scored a goal. I was like, how the hell does that happen? I went back. I was like, oh, crap. They took 3 penalties on one play. And so by rule, the worst you could be is 5-on-3. And then one is in savings. And the clock doesn't start on that one until one of the other 2 come off. And so then we scored one. And then the other penalty then starts. And that's how it was. So that's why we got 2 5-on-3 goals. But why I think we needed to get another one out of that. So
yeah, we should have got 3. Yeah, because they got a double minor was a penalty that interceded and started the whole thing. because it was a
Yeah.
4 minute. It was going to be 4 minute penalty. Then they took another penalty, which made it 5-on-3. Didn't even know that they scored because
Well,
the
it was
double
not only
minor
was it a double
overruled.
minor, it was two separate minor penalties. So it's not like it's a double minor, it's two minor penalties, which is a big difference because it's not four aggregate, it's three 2 minute penalties. So that's, which is, which I never seen. It's so rare to see that. That's why I was saying, like, we had to really kind of score three in that situation. Or, I mean, we got to score 5-on-5 or other ways too. I think you can't rely on that. But I was looking real quickly at the box score. Kuzi had 4 shots on goal. Obi had 4 shots on goal. Carlson had 4 shots on goal. Tom Wilson had 5. They put up shots. I mean, the goalie played pretty well.
Yeah,
I mean,
the goalie was on point. That's what I was going to say. That the goalie was playing his ass off. I mean, besides
Yeah.
giving him the 2 goals on a power play, he was locked in and getting in. That was on 5-on-3, and you're not going to stop Obi from the Obi off 5-on-3, too many times. And then the goal with Oshie, that was a nice play also. But yeah, he was locked in most of the game. So that's why I say that this was like just a crazy game the way it started and with the crazy carry him off of the glass. I didn't really see this game. I was just more pissed off that Marshawn had the shorthanded goal, which kind of swung the momentum back to Boston favor. It was just, and it had to be him. I didn't like anybody else. I wouldn't have minded if they had scored it, but the fact that it was him, shorthanded, which made it 3-0, and then that kind of swung the momentum. Yeah, so that's the only reason why I hated it, because he had to be the one, because that was the one that kind of solidified they had a bigger hill to climb. If he didn't get that goal. 2-2, they scored, 2 goals on the power play, brand new game. But that goal, and then along with the goal in the third on the power play late in the game, did it. But I just feel like it was a crazy game. They should have been a victory, but sometimes the hockey gods just flip a coin, and sometimes you lose.
And their goalie, so they had Swayman in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say, like, there's a goalie with a shit ton of potential. My God, he was fantastic for Boston, not for us, but he really stepped up. So that's another one to kind of look out for, because if Boston play him, what'll happen? They got Tuukka Rask, that whole thing. But I don't know. I was pseudo bored, I'll say, in the Islanders game, and in this game, I was frustrated, because especially when it comes to Boston, you want to see them come out strong, and you want to see them play, their 60 minutes, and when you're already down 2-0, it's hard to rally past that. So, luckily, the next 2 games are better.
Before we get to the next one, quick scoring update. I meant to update it earlier. The Nats are up 3-1 on St. Louis. I can't give you the updates honestly because I was caught up listening to the conversation, and I forgot to get a live break-ins when it happened. But Nats are up 3-1 in the top of the sixth with 2 outs. Man on third, trying to get him home to get the lead a little bit bigger on the Cardinals. Back to hockey.
yeah. So also, so the Wizards are down pretty bad in this. Their defense.
I was going to turn the game on, but thanks for giving me that update, so I won't even turn it on.
Yeah, no, there's just no defense. I believe I'm pulling up the score right now. It just went to the thing, but it was 33-42. So at the end of the first quarter there, but to allow 42 points in the first quarter is not very good. So you don't have to even follow basketball to know that. All right, well. Looks like I think my Twitch is working again. I didn't do anything different but other than restart OBS. So I'm hoping that continues to work okay over there. And but anyway, so I just wanted to start that feed up just to see what was wrong there. But let's get into this other this more positive Caps game.
Yeah, I'm all for it. So the next night, Capitals play Buffalo. And here we go with a favorite player of mine. I have to say, I'm becoming a huge fan of number 4. Brendan Dillon opens the scoring with his second, assisted by Schultz and Oshie. Obi scores about 10 minutes later. It's his 21st, assisted by Dillon and Carlson. And Buffalo scores to close out the first. Going into the second period, 28 seconds. Schultz, who's another one we have to keep our eye on, scores his third, assisted by Eller, and then Buffalo scores again, but it is still 3-1 Capitals going into the third. Jacob Brana, single tear. Finally gets his 11th at 1948, and Buffalo does score one more time, but the Caps win 4-3.
Maybe it ups his trade value right there. So.
Yeah, nothing like waiting till the last minute, right?
Too soon, maybe. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I thought this was a much better game. Actually, I'll let Carol give his take first, and then I'll give my take on it.
I mean, they pretty much handled Buffalo all season. I guess I'll speak more on the goalie situation with Double V. I feel like, we've seen Samsonov, play decently, but we can't see the consistency of save percentage down. I think they need to go ahead and let Double V get in there and see if he can get locked in like he was when he went through that stretch earlier. Because I know I saw the news earlier. We saw the rumors that they hadn't ruled out Lundqvist possibly coming back this season, but then I saw the news come out yesterday that that he won't be coming back this season. So I think knowing that and the trade deadline is passed now, they haven't made a move for a goalie. I say let Double V go in there and see if he can get back in the groove like he was before, because I'm still not sold on Samsonov getting back to the form the potential of the form that we saw before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know on some of these nights on whether it's the team you're playing or it's more about the Capitals, right? I think the Capitals can go out and beat anybody. It's just whether they played their game or not. And you saw a little bit in this. We keep on beating up on Buffalo and New Jersey, and I don't want to get too excited about that. But at the same time, you got to play the teams that are in front of you, because I was looking at the schedule up ahead for Pittsburgh, and they're going to play a lot of these easier teams coming up. So it's like you got to take advantage of it when they come.
Yep.
So I thought that they played well, though. They had to have a game where they answer back. I thought, Dylan was phenomenal early on. I thought overall, I was happy that we were able to answer in the third with that Jacob Brana goal. But then at the very end of the fourth, or at the end of the third, they scored a goal to make it 4-3, and you get nervous all over again. So it's like, I was happy to see in the next game we were able to finally put a team away, where it was not one of these things where it's like, oh God, here we go again, because that's been happening too much with this team. It's like you got to just put your foot on their throat and just be done with it. And
well, and I think especially when you're looking at a team like Buffalo that's like 10-25, it's like, come on, we shouldn't be 4-3. It shouldn't be that close. But I do feel for some reason when I feel like when I know that they announce who's going to be between the pipes and they say, okay, this is it. When they say Vanacek, I do feel a little bit more calm going into the game. There's something about his skill. They both are amazing, but there's something I just have so much, something about Vanacek that I just think is who we need to really focus on. And I think he's just been obviously great, and I really wish in this Boston game that we're going to talk about next, he would have gotten the shutout, but that's okay. He's still rocked it.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a whole lot more we need to say about this game. I really want to get into the next game. If people haven't been checking out my post-game shows, they've been a lot of fun. People seem to be liking them. I only do them when we win. I'm very, I'm conscious of the time that I put into this show and other shows. So I just do it when I'm excited and I'm happy, not when I'm frustrated and upset, which we don't really need to see that. But the next one, I tried something new, and I got to actually show a fight and live commentate about it. So I really appreciate the fight that starts this next game.
Yeah.
And if people want to see more of it, go to my recap of that one. It was only about 3 minutes and 33 seconds, and I go over 8 goals in a fight. So it's a very quick video, but it's a fight that's worth seeing because I think it's very representative of how the entire rest of this game went. But Anna, I'll let you break down the scoring of that one.
Be my honor, because I agree with you. As soon as we knew that we were playing Boston, and as soon as the puck dropped and Dylan went gloves off, we knew that was it. That was going to make or break the game, to be honest. And for me, it was and Gil and I talked about this earlier. Was like, there he is representing his teammates. He's gonna say like, "Hey, we're not putting up with this." But you know what? Aside from that, we're gonna go ahead and get everyone rallied and pumped up, because this is how we're gonna start this game with like a big old ass kicking, and it was fantastic. And I do, Brendan Dillon. I don't know. There's something about watching him fight that I adore and am all for. And of course, Tommy. And then Hathaway, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it's necessary. But Brendan Dillon, I just think he's just so fantastic. So we do have that fight to open up. And then we just have the Caps dominating. I mean, basically what I have written down, first period, Oshie at 7:33 scores, Eller at 7:49, Sherry at 7:42. And then all of a sudden we're going into the second period already, and you're like, hey, we're up 3-0. Sherry at 4:41, which was his 10th, which is fantastic. Nick Dowd, who we haven't talked much about in regards to scoring lately, but good on him. 16:03, that was his 8th. And then Tommy at 18:24 was his 10th on a power play goal. So we're just rocking it. I mean, we are now 6-0 going into the third period. Boston gets their only goal in the third period. But then Oshie and Eller score again. And here we are with an 8-1 win. It's like you just can't be more excited. And Vanacek was fantastic. I was hoping for the not the Smith goal, but you know what? It's okay. 8-1 is just something that the team needs to take, celebrate, and ride with it, because they were so excited. I don't know, they were not excited, but they were so much more relaxed on the ice. They were having fun. And to me, that's always how I see the Caps being successful. It's like when there's not the pressure to overshoot, overblock, over this, over that, whatever it is, that these guys just go in and say, okay, hey, whatever happens, happens. And they go in and have a great time and are happy for each other. And here we are with an 8-1 victory. So it's fantastic.
Carol, what are your thoughts on?
If you're watching my feed, I have to give an update on the last game. One of the players that I dislike in the MLB, Molina for the Cardinals, just hit a solo home run to make it 3-2. I can't stand him. There's one person I don't want them to help rally, and it's Molina, and he just hit a solo shot on the 3-2 count. So,
Carol, real quickly, also, I got the other. Did you get the other two scores? Because I got them all. If you need them.
we'll talk about it in the baseball time. I know we're going a little bit longer than Capitals talk, but this game was definitely needed. Also, have to mention that Boston were without 3 of their top defensemen in this game, and they went 3 for 6 on the power play. Some of those players were on the power play because Boston has the top power play in the league at the penalty kill. I'm sorry, in the league at this point. But other than that, the team, I didn't get to see the Dylan fight live. So, Robbie, you shared the feed. I didn't get a chance to check it out, but I did see the highlights of it. And it did kind of set the tone. And like I said, Robbie, it was good to see them, put their foot on the opponent's neck and not give in and not give up. The lead at any given time, they were up 3-0 after 1, 6-0 after 2. They gave up the unfortunate power play goal in the to not get the shutout for Double V. He's had that happen like 3 or 4 times, taking a shutout into the third period. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to hold on to get it. But this was, what you want to see from this team. You saw will, you saw hustle, you saw want, you saw, they wanted to prove a point from the game they lost a couple of days ago, because I think they hated Marchand just as much as I did. So I think that kind of spurred on this 8-1 victory. Only thing that would have been better if Dylan or Tom Wilson would have punched Marshawn through the
I
ice, and
know.
we wouldn't have had to see his little rat face no more.
Real quickly, I want to say that the Wizards have now cut it to 48 to 49. So a really good,
Oh,
yeah, a really good comeback here. They've outscored them 15-7, I believe, in the second quarter here. So they're on a nice little run here. Yeah, a lot of players scored 2 goals for the Capitals in this game, which I thought was kind of cool. TJ Oshie started the scoring and then scored another one in the third. Lawrence Eller also scored one in the first and third. And Connor Sherry scored one in the first and the second. So yeah, and a lot of different types of goals. I love that Tom Wilson scored after he had gotten hit in the face, with the high sticking. So I thought that was really fitting that he would get that goal. The one thing that's really fun to do, if you're in a down mood or you want something fun to do, go to YouTube and check out the NHL highlight where they showed the full 8-minute package, right? And it's done from the Bruins announcer's point of view. And they're always trying to find the upside in things, but they were struggling so hard in this one. And it was just a great listen. They don't have the fight. Of course, they cut the fight before it really starts. They don't want to show the ass whooping. But you can see that on my thing. But if you just want to hear it from their point of view, it is a great listen. So I wanted to highly put that out there for Caps fans who may have missed that. But just, yeah, great 8-1 win. I feel bad for some Bruins fans, maybe sometimes. I have a friend who's a Bruins fan. I feel a little bad for her, but not for all Bruins fans. But
my brother-in-law is a Bruins fan, and I don't feel bad.
Nice. Okay. So, but I'm happy they got revenge for the earlier loss, and I think they took advantage of the fact that the Bruins played back-to-back nights, and next weekend the Capitals are going to play back-to-back like noon games, and the second one will be in Boston. So, you have to take advantage of it when you get it, because who knows what will happen next weekend. So, I think it's important to try to take advantage of it while we can. Carol, any final thoughts on this game before we look at the schedule ahead?
No, we pretty much wrapped it up. It was a great win, great way to end the week, and hopefully they can carry that momentum into the upcoming week.
Cool. All right, so we got Philadelphia and Buffalo. I was hoping we get fans in. If you missed the opener, fans will be coming back, but not until the game against the Islanders on April 27th, because they're going to have these 2 home games coming up, and then they're going to go on the road for 4 games. And that Islanders game, when we get the home fans back for, is the last of 3 games in a row against the New York Islanders. So 2 on the island and then 1 in Washington. But let's talk about the games that are this week, which is Philadelphia and Buffalo, or that's the home stand Tuesday and Thursday. Both those are at 7 o'clock. Why don't I ask you about those 2 first, and then I'll talk about the little road swing or the start to it. Carol, what's your thoughts on Philadelphia and then seeing Buffalo once again?
Philadelphia is having goaltender issues for a while now. They still fighting, trying to get into a position to make the playoffs. But I think the Caps are in a groove right now, and look like Andrew Stevenson just led off the top of the 7th with a solo home run to give the Nats back their 2-run lead. Yes, because I can't stand Molina. And I think that the Sabres, even though it was a 4-3 game, the Sabres, they're a great, tough team. They just been playing bad hockey at home for some reason. They can't win at home. But this should be a 3-0 week for the Capitals, who should be getting ready in playoff mode and should be able to put their foot on both of these opponents next week.
Yeah, I believe this will be the last game against Buffalo, and I think we've only lost 1 of them, if I remember correctly. So I know it won't be as good as what we did to the Devils at the 8-0, but I'll take a 7-1 if we can somehow get that. So hopefully we can get that victory. Anna, what are your thoughts on Philadelphia and Buffalo?
Philly. I think we have an opportunity to beat Philly both times as long as our face-off percentage improves. We have been, that I find is a huge weakness for the Capitals. Again, blah, 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 play 60 minutes, all that kind of stuff. But I will find it interesting if we have the new players, the traded players, um, to see how they do this week, if they're in the lineup and what comes out of it. So I think that's going to be a big opportunity for fans to see, and hopefully applaud BMAC and Laviolette for the trades because, we're going to be able to see these guys live and they're good teams to see. And it's like, okay, so, and then with Buffalo, I don't know. They're terrible, but again, we were only 4-3. So I just I don't want to count them out. I know they have a ton of injuries and everything else, but we'll see what happens. But I think I'm looking forward to seeing how the trades, how they, kind of blend in with the Capitals this week, and I think it'll be a kind of eye-opening for us to talk about next week.
Yeah, so the other two games are, as you were mentioning, we're going to be playing Philadelphia in Philadelphia on Saturday. That's a 12:30 game. That'll be on Comcast Sport or Washington, NBC Sports Washington. Let's call it CSN because it's Philadelphia. They both had CSN.
Right.
So long. But that's on the local one. It's funny because they still call it CSN on the back end of the Yahoo, which throws me off anyway. And then the other game is going to be against Boston. That'll be on national TV. That'll be the noon game on NBC on Sunday. And we know that Boston's going to want revenge in that one, or at least not to look as bad. So I'm going to go reverse order. Anna, what are your thoughts on, well, you already kind of gave the second Philadelphia, but your thoughts on the Boston one?
I hate any time the Capitals have to play an afternoon game. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just they know they suck when it comes to afternoon games, so it's sort of, already in their head. But man, if they could pull off a win in Boston on Sunday at noon, that's it. For me, it's like, mic drop. Like, these guys have got it because that is their biggest obstacle. That is just such a moment of, it's like I don't know what gets in their head or whatever happens, but they just don't seem to play well in the afternoon games, and let alone back to back on a weekend, and then to have to play in Boston. So they have the cards against them, and maybe they're gonna ride up and be like, "Hey, we beat your asses 8-1. Let's go." That's what I'm hoping for. And the other side of me is like, okay, let's just play smart hockey and not, have an 8-1 loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right with having back-to-back at 12 o'clock. That gets you into a little bit of a rhythm or routine where one day, it was 12:30 and 12 o'clock the next day. But, we'll see if that helps them going back-to-back instead of having, they got from Thursday till Saturday to get ready for the Flyers at 12:30. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say they suck when it's they're what 1-4 and 12 o'clock games. So yeah, the record doesn't say they played pretty well in it, but eventually it just has to come down to you getting out there on the ice and doing what it takes to win the game, and that's what gets you to the cup. It doesn't matter what time the game starts or who's healthy or who's not. It's about who wants it more, and it's time for the team to start turning it on and show that they want it, because it's going to be very telling in the playoffs, especially now once you get out the first round with be playing the same teams all season long. And when you start playing teams out your division in the playoffs, that's what's going to be the X factor. And the one thing that has to be a constant with the team is playing solid defense and hustling and wanting to win. The offense is going to come, but that hustle and the want is what you have to have at a high level every night. And it's about time we need to see this team turn it on, or it's going to be another season of spinning their wheels with the potential to win a cup and not win one. And I want to go to another championship parade, so I want them to go all the way.
Yeah, here. It's all about consistency. I think that I'm hoping they go 3-1 this week. And obviously, I hope we win all of our games all the time. But I think that's sort of, in my mind, the best case scenario, just because it's going to be a rough one. I think we'll probably split the the Philadelphia games, and hopefully we win the other two. But hopefully we win all of them. So a lot of people are joining in on our Twitch stream. So hey Lucky
Okay.
and hey Lurker. So I'm happy that seems to be working for people right now, and so that's awesome. I really appreciate it. Oh, and he rated my channel with 8 viewers. So that was one of the first times anyone's ever rated me on
There you
Twitch.
go.
So I appreciate it. As always, my friend. So that's awesome. So if anyone has any questions about the Caps real quickly, we're going to be talking about Nationals in a second, and then we're talking about the Wizards as well. Thank you for my first raid. I really appreciate it. Lucky is a video game streamer that also is from the Maryland area, from right near
Oh,
here.
awesome.
So very cool. All right, that seems to be the week upcoming. I know you just finished your reporting, Anna, for the Power Play Point podcast. If people go to sportsothp.com and check us out there. There's the Power Play Point podcast. It's one of our podcast partners. So if you click the podcast partners button, you can check us out over there and check them out and get more of Gil's take on the trade. I'm sure he had some interesting statements on that. I'm sure Anna also loves Jacob Verana. So we'll say goodbye to the background for the Jacob Verana.
I know.
We'll probably have yeah, exactly. We'll have a new player there next week. But Anna, any final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous, but I'm sorry. It looks like witness protection for me tonight. I was like, why am I so flashy? I moved rooms thinking the lighting would be better, but I feel like it's quite dark, but it's me. I'm here. So no, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing the new players. I don't want to think about Prana. I only wish them the best. And hopefully let's get a Nats win. And I don't know about basketball, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hope it's a good week for the Capitals, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, I
Take care.
appreciate it as always. Take it easy.
All right, so I think we're gonna bring Brian Brennan here. Unfortunately, they just got a base knock. We're at the bottom of the 7th right now. Hey, Brian, how are you doing? We'll also bring in Tim, and then I'm gonna jump off for the baseball feed and let you guys talk. I'm gonna go upstairs for a second. Hold on, let me jump off my camera. I'll let the 4 of you guys talk a little bit of baseball for a minute, and I'm gonna go say goodnight to Zach, but I'll be right back on my end. And Carol, I'll let you take it away.
All right, appreciate it, Brian and Tim. First time having you on for Nash Talk, Tim. So appreciate you joining us.
I'm for the right shirt.
As Robbie said, Cardinals got a hit in the start of the bottom of the 7th. Nats up 4-2. Matt Carpenter at the plate. 1-0 is the count with the ball just now. But let's go ahead and talk about the weekend review for the Nationals. There's only one lone bright spot because they went 1-5 in their delayed season opener due to their COVID issues. They're starting to get some of the players back from that situation, and hopefully what we're seeing tonight, more offense from the team, because in 3 of the first 6 games they got shut out. So hopefully getting some of the firepower back in the lineup and get this team scoring and get them back on the positive side of the NL East, because being in the basement sucks. But let's go ahead and recap. We're going to do a quick run through because, as I said, they were 1-5 with 3 shutouts in 6 games. So not too much to talk about right now. But we can talk about the one lone bright spot, the season opener game against the Braves, which they won in walk-off fashion, 6-5. Daniel Hudson earned the victory, going 1 inning, giving up no hits with 2 strikeouts and 1 walk. Will Smith took the loss for the Braves, who that put him at 0-1. He gave up 2 hits with an earned run in his limited time on the mound. Juan Soto hit the walk-off single, going 1 for 5 with the RBI. Trey Turner went 1 for 4 with the 2-run home run and 2 RBIs. Andrew Stevenson, who I just mentioned, homered, and top of the inning to give the Nats back their 2-run lead. He went 2 for 4 that game with the RBI. And Jonathan LaCroix, who was a coveted free agent, went 1 for 4 with the RBI double, a 2-run RBI double to help the Nats secure their first win of the season in walk-off fashion. Brian, did you get a chance to check this game out, and what was your initial thoughts on this first game with Juan Soto and Acuna Jr., the future faces of the NL East and MLB baseball in this first game?
Yeah, I got to see the end of this game. Obviously, a really exciting ending with the Nationals walking it off. It's obviously frustrating to go into the season as shorthanded as the Nationals did. Going into this game, they were down several of their key players, but to come in and to win that first game, I think is huge. To that point, the Atlanta Braves had not won a game to that point in the season, so to continue their losing streak was definitely exciting. And basically, what more can you say about Soto, man? I mean, he's one of the best players in baseball. He's an incredible talent to watch. And he's proven it so far, even though the Nationals have struggled other than this game to start the season. Soto's had a nice start to the season. So despite players not being there, whether it's to injuries or to this COVID situation, Soto's been a big bright spot so far. So, yeah, definitely a good win on opening day. It was good to have fans back at Nationals Park as well. Yeah, definitely a feel-good win.
No doubt, no doubt. Tim, what is your take on that season opening win with the great Juan Soto walk-off fashion?
I thought it was a great game. The Nats got a little bit lucky playing the Braves early on in the series just because the Braves had a really slow start to the season and started out 0-4. So although the Nationals lost the whole first series because of the Corona outbreak, the Braves started just as slowly as they did. And I would say for the Nationals, besides getting the win, the Scherzer start was pretty promising in the sense that, yes, he gave up, I think, 4 solo home runs, including one on the first pitch of the game, but he really settled down. And that's what aces do. He knows he can't be beaten with just solo home runs. So he kept the Nationals in the game, and he passed it to the bullpen. And the bullpen did a nice job and kept it close so they could come back. And obviously, Scherzer's second start was great, even stronger. So that was really nice to see. You know, he's getting a little older, but he's still really strong.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Max, sometimes, his adrenaline and want to do sometimes, throws off his pitching, especially, opening day. He's always overhyped and, he sometimes overthrow the ball, but he definitely kept him in. Yeah, I saw the, giving up the 4 solo home runs. I had a bad feeling, but the Nats were able to come back. He was able to get everything under control, and, the Nats were able to come back and win. And these next 5 losses, I'm just going to breeze through because there's not really too much to talk about. And we have NBA talk a bit too, and live look-ins on the Wizards game. The second game of the series was a loss to the Braves, 7-6. Josh Tomlin for the Braves got the victory that puts him at 1-0. He went 2 innings, giving up no hits, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs with a walk. Eric Fetty. This is a conundrum. This kid, I've been trying to be patient with him, but this game didn't do anything to help me have confidence in him. He took the loss, going an inning and 2/3, giving up 6 hits, 6 runs, 5 of those earned with a strikeout and a walk. 4 of those runs were given up in the first inning. Will Smith earned a save for the Braves, going 1 inning, with giving up 1 hit, 1 run, with 1 strikeout and 2 walks. Trey Turner again went 2 for 4 with another 2-run home run, and Sterling Castro went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And to wrap up the series, they were trying to go for the win, but unfortunately got shut out 2-0. Luke Jackson for the Braves earned the victory. He went 1 inning, no hits, no runs with 1 walk. Tanner Rainey, who's currently in the game right now, a little heated situation with 2 on and 2 out, and 0-2 count, looking to get out of this inning without giving up any more damage. But he took the loss, going 1 inning, giving up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and the save went to Sean Newcomb for the Braves. That was his first, going 1 inning with 3 strikeouts. He struck out the side to preserve the shutout, and it's really nothing else to talk about in that game because the Nets had no offense. What did you take away from the Nats losing the first 2 out of 3 to the Braves in the shutout fashion, even though they were shorthanded. Tim, I'll go to you first this time.
I thought it was unfortunate that the Nats had to play a doubleheader the second day because there's the controversial 7 inning rule, which I get because there's going to be a lot of these games this year and they want to get them over with quickly. But it just adds yet another wrinkle into the beginning of the season and another thing that this depleted roster has to deal with. But the second game especially was disappointing just because the Nats had a lead and they had the Braves down in the game and just couldn't put the game away and obviously blew it and gave up a lot of runs. But again, the Nationals were just in a position to try to tread water through the first couple weeks of the season, and the Braves are a really good team. They weren't going to fall to 0-5. They played really desperate in the doubleheader. They have big aspirations this year, so I think that was a big momentum game for the Braves to take both those, but pretty tough there.
No doubt, no doubt. Brian, what did you take away from the Nets losing the first 2 out of 3 to the Braves? And I'll get Robbie. He has some thoughts on the first 3 games of the season also.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tim mentioned the controversial 7 inning doubleheader rule. I don't love it, but when I see it in action, I don't hate it. But like in principle, I don't love it. I will say I like it a lot more than the extra inning rule, which is just trash, and I hate it very much. But this was difficult for the Nats, losing these 2 games to the Braves. It's early in the season, so you can't really put too much stock into it. You can't really press the panic button, even with losing the next 3 games to the Dodgers. I can't really press the panic button just yet because it's so early in the season. The Braves are a good team. The Dodgers are a good team. It's not. I can't worry too much yet, but definitely frustrating.
All right, I'll give my quick take on the 7 inning doubleheader thing. I really don't have a problem with it because it does make sense, with the situation what's going on now. 7 innings for 2 games, you get 2 games in. Unfortunately, the Nats came out on the bad side of it. And on the extra inning thing, I've seen it in action. I know for a baseball purist like yourself, Brian, it's probably hard to swallow. But, I mean, just like in NFL with the changes they made with the overtime that, the other team, unless you score a touchdown, gets the ball back, all these stipulations, I think it's, makes the game more interesting and try to open it up to different fans and, try to, get something to talk about and maybe get more fans into the game. So I really don't have an issue with the extra inning thing or the double hitter 7 inning rule. But Robbie, what is your take on the first 3 games and on the extra innings and the 7 inning double hitter thing?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you on it for the most part. I think if we're in a normal season, maybe they get rid of it. But I think for as long as there's less fans out there and we're trying to get these condensed games in and trying to schedule them, I still think it's crazy that we have a full schedule going here. Like no condensed games, no smaller schedule. They're going to fit all of them in, all the travel, everything. So they have to take some of these moments here and there because they're going to have to double up these games to fit them in. So there's not a lot of I don't think there's a lot of choice in the matter in that regard. For the man on the second base for the extra innings, I kind of hate the rule too because I just don't think from pure baseball point of view, like it's hard to know what would have happened. I mean, that's such a huge advantage.
It's Little League. It's Little League. It's garbage.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Brian on that.
So
I mean,
bad.
but we can't have the 18 inning, extra inning games. They're trying to, I guess.
So why not start it in like the 13th inning or something? Why do you have to start it immediately when extra innings start? You can start it in the 13th inning. I'd be more interested in it if it started in the 13th inning as opposed to right away when extra innings starts.
I can see your argument with that, but I guess they're trying to, like I say, speed it up and try to make it a little bit more interesting for other fans to get into it. So I see your point. Maybe in the 12th inning, they give them 2 innings to see if they can get anything going. If not, okay, the 12th inning, you put a man on second and see what happens. So I see your point, but I can't really say I hate it because it does make it more interesting.
Yeah, I can see that part of it. But my thoughts on the first three games, I actually thought that I was happy that they got a win in the first game. I thought that it showed a lot of resilience in it. I was disappointed they couldn't take one of the doubleheader games. But you're talking about a team that had gotten to play the previous week, and Washington wasn't even able to practice, and so that obviously throws off your pitching, your hitting, everything. So I'm just happy they got one. I was more disappointed in the next three games. So I honestly I didn't watch much of it, so I won't say a lot about them. But I was obviously disappointed that we couldn't get at least one win, in LA. But Carol, you break that quickly down.
All right, yeah, this is going to be a real quick wrap up for one. I hate the Dodgers. For two, it was a sweep. First game was a 1-0 loss to Walker Bueller, who's definitely going to be a pitcher that's going to be causing problems throughout his career because he's definitely got solid stuff and he's still so young. And if you hear that in the background, my dog decided to chew on his bone right now, going live on the show. He always does every Monday. I don't know why.
It's okay. A
Avia.
lot of people on our Twitch channel love dogs, so we got a bunch of people that are in the raid, and they're all big dog fans.
Well, they're
So,
listening to
it's all
him
good.
bite on his bone right now because he's right by the microphone. So I don't
Shout out
know
to
why he
DMX.
keeps to do it, but he does it every Monday night when I'm doing the show. It kills me. Took the loss. Avil, I don't even want to try to pronounce it. I think I messed up the first time. But he went one inning, giving up one hit, one earned run, and two strikeouts. The second game of the series, Nats lost 9-5. Someone always wants to call me during the show. And Nats lost 9-5 with Julio Arias getting his first win of the season. He went 5 2/3, giving up 9 hits, 3 earned runs with 3 strikeouts. Patrick Corbin went 4 1/3, giving up 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Juan Soto went 2 for 5 with 3 RBI, 2 home runs. Yan Gomes went 2 for 4 with an RBI, and Sterling Castro went 1 for 5 with an RBI. This game,
Real
Patrick,
quickly, you just mentioned Castro. He just, I believe, got a base knock that scored a run, makes it 5-2.
nice.
And
Yeah, Robbie, good job. I was reading the stats.
Over
Yeah, 5
Yankee.
2.
yeah.
I wasn't really a Castro fan, but he's on the team now, so I'm gonna root for him. Not because he was an ex-Yankee, Brian. Now I wasn't going there. He wasn't really a Castro fan.
Hey, he got a Stanton, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I bet you can't. I wouldn't mind having that madman smacking the ball 500 feet all the damn time. But this game, Corbin gave up some early walks. Looked like he was going to get out. I think it was the third inning. Looked like he was going to get out of it undamaged, but gave up a couple of doubles that cleared the bases, and the Dodgers pretty much, ran roughshod over the offensively depleted Nationals and won that game 9-5. And the last game of the series, I didn't get a chance to watch it myself, but I saw it was a 3-0 loss to Kershaw, so I really didn't want to go back and watch it because I can't stand Kershaw either. Kershaw went 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, no earned runs with 6 strikeouts. Mad Max went 6 innings, giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. Jansen earned the save for the Dodgers, going 1 inning with 2 strikeouts. And I'm just going to chalk this up as an offensively depleted team that once they get their lineup back together, I would love to see the Dodgers again here or in LA because I think they were going to get revenge for this sweep. Brian, I go to you first. What did you take away from this World Championship sweep from the Dodgers?
Yeah, the Dodgers are obviously the defending champions. They got their rings in front of the Nationals. And the last time the Nationals and Dodgers played, obviously, was the playoffs in 2019, where the Nationals had the comeback in Game 5. So I kind of expected the Dodgers to be motivated going into this series. Walker Bueller was great in Game 1. Walker Bueller, Clayton Kershaw for years was the ace of the Dodgers staff, and is still a great pitcher. But in many ways, Walker Bueller has now kind of become the ace of the Dodgers staff. He's kind of turned into their best pitcher. Great effort in this game. You mentioned the second game of the series, the offense for the Dodgers really showed up, really did a great job. And the one game I was able to watch pretty much this entirety I was really excited to watch this game. I was really happy when the Yankees game was over because I was able to put this game on because it was Scherzer versus Kershaw. I was really excited for that pitching matchup, but Kershaw proved once again that he's a legend. Not that Scherzer pitched bad. Scherzer pitched pretty well. But, Kershaw really shut the Nationals down, and Dodgers were able to get some insurance in the 7th inning on a home run. And, tough series for the Nationals, but we'll see if they're able to turn their luck around in St. Louis. But it's a difficult series to play LA. You expect LA to come out tough, especially in their home opener. So not too surprised, I guess, but definitely a tough series for the Nats.
No doubt, no doubt. Tim, what did you take away from this unfortunate sweep to the Dodgers?
It was just a shame for the Nationals because they really did get 2 great starts out of 3 games, but came out with 0 wins. Joe Ross, I'm pretty sure, had 5 scoreless innings in the first game, and it wasn't enough because the Nats bullpen gave up, I believe, just 1 home run. That was damage. But the Dodgers are stacked. I mean, the Nationals TV guys were just talking about how good their roster and pitching arms are. I think they have David Price in the bullpen because he's just their 6th guy. And obviously, he's not a Cy Young type guy anymore. But I mean, they're so good. He's not even one of their top 5. It just shows how deep they are. They spend a ton of money. They have talent everywhere. A lot of people are going to pick them for the World Series. So there's no shame in losing. It just is kind of annoying to waste 2 really good starts. I think Scherzer's start on Sunday wins most of the time too. So, when the Nationals lineup comes back, I think, like you said, they can compete with the Dodgers. I think they'll play well in DC when the Dodgers come back, and maybe win it 2 out of 3 or something. So that'll be a good series later on.
No doubt, no doubt. Robbie, did you have any thoughts on this sweep to the Dodgers, or just want to get into the upcoming schedule?
No, I want to get over to the upcoming schedule because I hate the Dodgers and I don't want to talk about them winning 3 games. So St. Louis is the series that's coming up, but we've got bases loaded, 0 outs, 5-2, top of the 8th. So I'm hoping something happens magical out of this. I'll let Carol watch that while I talk about just put that foul. All right, sorry. The Tuesday game, St. Louis, 7:45 start, same as what was today. Weird times this year for a lot of games, but whatever. Wednesday, April 14th, continued the series at St. Louis. It's a 1:15 afternoon game, and then we start a 4-game series with the Diamondbacks of Arizona. This is actually going to be in Washington. They're finally going to we'll see how they do against Arizona. So it's a 7:05 game on Thursday, it's 7:05 on Friday, and then the 2 weekend games are at 1:05 again against Arizona. So I guess I'll go around the horn and ask Carol, what are your thoughts on St. Louis and Arizona?
Hopefully Jan Gomes unfortunately just struck out, giving it 1 out with the bases still loaded in the top of the 8th. Hopefully they can get some insurance in this game and solidify this game and get the win. Hudson probably be on in the 9th as long as they keep the lead and don't give up any runs. I think hopefully, fingers crossed, it should be the Nationals' 2nd victory of the season. Hopefully they can continue that trend against St. Louis with getting their roster back and win 2 out of 3 against them. And the Diamondbacks, I haven't got a chance to, still early in the season, so I haven't had a chance to scout anybody. But, 2 out of 3 against both of these teams would be, a step in the right direction and getting back on the right side of 500.
Yeah, Tim, what are some of your thoughts on playing these 2 teams?
Yeah, I agree completely. I think you mentioned it's Arizona for 4, and Arizona is not a good team. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, so definitely want to take 3 out of 4. I agree, though, with the Nats roster, you can't take anything for granted. It really just depends on who's playing better baseball at the moment. But you would want to take 3 out of 4 there, and then the Nats should win tonight, knock on wood, and then you want to split the next 2. St. Louis is a really good team, and I mean the Nats would love to get 2 out of 3 at this point in the season. But if they could go 5-2 this week, that would be huge and make up for last week. Kind of put them where they need to be, just treading water.
So Ryan Zimmerman is up right now, batting average. He's at 381 on the season. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's been good. It's early.
That's crazy.
It's very early. You got to keep it in mind.
No, I know, but still, like he didn't play last year, and just a lot of people didn't know if he was going to be washed up or not. So he's got a couple of grand slams in his career. Again, one out. It's a 1-2 count, top of the eighth. The Nats are up 5-2. But while Zimmerman is at base, Brian, what are your thoughts on these two teams this week?
The Cardinals. When I did my baseball preview, I picked them to win the NL Central. They've got Nolan Arenado this offseason, who's one of the best players in baseball. They already had a really good team. Jack Flaherty's a really good pitcher. I'm not sure who's pitching for them these upcoming games, but I think you like you said, win this game tonight. Add insurance runs here. This is a big spot for Zimmerman and whoever's up after him. This is a big spot. So add insurance runs here, win this game, and then split the next two. And then, like you guys said, that Arizona series, gotta win at least three. Gotta win at least two, preferably three of those games, because Arizona's not a playoff team. They might not even be a third place team in the NL West. They're not that good. So win those games and just get this, turn it around. I think this will be a much better week for the Nationals than the first week.
Yes, I hope that it is a better week. But I want to stay here for his base is loaded. So we gotta fill or something. We gotta do something. As they say. Well, we'll talk with the Wizards scoring update. Wizards are actually winning 71-69 with a 10:41. Oh, now 73-69. I think Westbrook just hit that bucket in the third. Westbrook has 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists already. He had 3 or 4 games in a row with a triple-double. We'll go through all those stats in just a moment. To play at the plate, and he's out, unfortunately. So that is unfortunate. They didn't get anything there.
Yeah, he should have played. That wasn't that deep of a fly ball. But 2 outs, you go for it. You never know. Ball might not go in a straight line. But yeah, unfortunately, Nats didn't get add any runs on that. The bullpen has to lock it down for the rest of the game.
All right. Well, that was a solid, first, official Nats talk. Last week we talked about it, but it wasn't, I would say, official. I'm happy we had Tim and Brian joining us for this chat, and I'm looking forward to bringing some of the other guys in for some basketball talk. Carol, you're going to dip out, but you're going to still keep it rolling?
Yeah, I'm going to keep my feed going. I'm going to leave with a parting question for the NBA roundtable with the Wizards. They have turned it around and got the lead tonight, but how much longer do you leave Scott Brooks at the helm with the talent that this team has in being in 12th position in the weak NBA East? And I'm out for that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think at this point, I think you probably ride it out for the rest of the season. Tim, can I ask you to turn on and off your camera for just 1 second? I'm just for positioning, and then that way we get all of us in the right order. All right, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. All right, so we're going to bring in all of our round table. For some people that are watching live on Twitch, so I think the 11 people watching over there right now. If people haven't seen this before, this is the Wizards round table. We're going to go through the games that happened this week. We'll talk about the game that's live happening. We'll also talk about the upcoming week. Carol did pose an interesting question. I'll ask all of you guys, and Arun, if you want to jump in on camera, you can now as well. And Arun is here. Always with the great backgrounds. All right, so we Washington's up 73-70. It's been an exciting week. I'm going to introduce some of our guests. So you've already heard Brian Brennan. He's a Yankees New York sports fan. Does Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan. We've already talked to Tim. Tim is actually mostly a Baltimore sports fan, but he does root for the Nationals as well. We're going to bring in DC's People's Champ, who's part of the No Spots podcast. Busy week with wrestling. Does wrestling news on his show. You can go to sportsothp.com, click on the podcast partners button, and click No Spots Podcast. No Spots Podcast. You will get all of the wrestling updates. I'm going to start with you, Champ. How are you doing tonight?
You said it there. It's a very busy week of wrestling. WrestleMania was just this past weekend, and myself and Sid there over a little over 7 hours of live streaming covering WrestleMania. So fun times. How are you guys doing?
Good. Yeah, it's I'm happy as long as the Nats keep winning, and somehow the Wizards have turned this game around. Usually, last week when we cut to them at the beginning, they completely fell apart. So I was like, oh, great, you know. And there's still a lot of time for Utah to take over this game. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Westbrook is playing well. 9 minutes, 24 seconds left in the third quarter here. Again, the Wizards are up by 5, 75-70. Now it's 75-73. So before they keep on getting more, threes like to happen while I talk about them, but not in a good way. We're gonna go to Arun. Arun, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad. Listening to Brian complain about how Major League is in the league and extra innings is a tradition now.
And we're going to be complaining about it this week, too, because the Yankees played an extra innings yesterday. So, once again, we'll be subjected to this.
Yes.
They did win. They did win this time for once. Finally.
Finally. All right, so let's look at the week ahead. So if people don't know, I put on the live stats. Let me make sure that it appears correctly on OBS, which it sometimes does and sometimes does not. That's pretty good. I'm going to shrink it a little bit. While I do that, let's talk about the week that was. So overall, they did better in some ways than I expected them to, but a lot worse than others. So let's just go through it. The first couple of games that was against the Magic, the Wizards actually kind of dominated this one. Russell Westbrook had another one of his triple doubles, 14, 15, and 23. We talked about this was a big game, sort of setting the tone before they had to go out west. Overall, I mean, they still allowed 116 points, but they scored 131. I'm not going to get too far into it. I'll let each one of you guys break it down a little bit more. I'll start with you, Tim. What were some of your thoughts on this game?
Well, this was a much needed get the monkey off your back win because the Wizards have lost a lot of games in a row to Orlando going back a couple seasons. And obviously, those Orlando teams have Vucevic and a bunch of other players that got traded. And Orlando is just a shell themselves and not really playing for a ton right now. But the Wizards needed this win, and that second quarter was huge. I did kind of worry that Orlando was going to take this game because they did have a good run in the second half and made it kind of close in the end. But the Wizards pulled it out, and they made up for that terrible buzzer beater, controversial loss. They finally got a win in Florida. And it was a feel-good win before that really weird long road trip out west.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
I got to echo Mahimi. I mean, Tim. Sorry. But no, this was a game that this team needed to get. Especially after the heartbreaking loss they had in Toronto, where they were up by as many as 19 in that Toronto game, only to lose by 2 at the buzzer. So this was a much-needed, much well-deserved win for this team. They went out there, they scored well, they shot over 50% both from the field and from three-point land, and made all but 2 of their free throws. Those are good recipes to be able to win, even if you don't play very good defense. As long as you can shoot the ball pretty well and make the free throws, you're going to win games like this. Tim said it best. This team's not playing too much of anything. They're pretty much they're a couple games behind us. They're pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. They don't really have much going for them as well. So this is a much-needed win for this team and a much-deserved win.
Yeah. Arun, what are some of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this was like they both have pretty similar records, the Magic and the Wizards. Right now, the Wizards only have one more win, which is pretty bad. But overall, still an impressive win. The shocking thing to me was Westbrook only took 11 shots. He had 15 assists. He made all 3 of his 3-pointers. Denny also had 16 points. And after the game, Bradley Beal on Denny, he says Russ yells at him. He doesn't shoot the ball. And whenever Russ yells, he do what he says. And that was the takeaway from the game, pretty much. It was just a blowout against a bad team. Even though Orlando did have more wins, Otto Porter didn't play, so they were pretty shorthanded in this one. And good win for the Wizards with Beal and really back in the lineup.
Sure. Brian, any quick thoughts on this before we move on?
No, I think everybody said it best. After the loss on Monday, which I think left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, I think it felt good to come out and to win this game against Orlando, a team they've struggled against. You guys mentioned it; they had that losing streak against. So to finally end that losing streak is good. Orlando traded all their good players basically at the trade deadline, so they're basically tanking at this point. So it's a little surprising that their record's not much worse than the Wizards, but yeah, this was a good win. I think especially after the loss to Toronto, I think it's one you want to have. So I think the Wizards will take it.
For sure. All right, let's just for timing purposes, I'm gonna try to quickly move through these different games here. So the next one was against the Warriors, which I was really surprised by this result in a lot of ways. The Wizards started off really hot. The Warriors came back a little bit in it, and then in the fourth quarter, I thought the Warriors were just going to take over and kind of win this game, but the Wizards were able to hold on and get a big victory. What are some of your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Beal was pretty horrible for most of the game, and then down the stretch, Russell Westbrook to tie the game to take the lead. Russell Westbrook took a three and he missed it. Bradley Beal grabbed the offensive rebound, shot it up in the same motion, and completed a 4-point play, which was the key to the win. And prior to that, Beal had 2 turnovers in a row, and the Wizards actually had the lead, but at that point, they'd blown the lead. Looks like they were trying to tank with Bertans playing defense towards the end of the game. But at the end of the game, the Warriors drew up a really good play, but Denny did a good job forcing the pass away, which forced a turnover by the Warriors, and the Wizards ended up holding on for the win, which is a surprising win. Maybe it's too little too late, but we'll see.
Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this win?
Bradley Beal had a sore back, and he put the team on his back the final 6 seconds of the game, scoring 6 points, including the 4-point play that would ultimately be the difference in this game. And that's just goes to show you the type of leader that Bradley Beal continues to be for this team. Westbrook played absolutely phenomenal as well. Rui even played well. He had 22 points as well. And Robin Lopez had 20 as well. So the front court even contributed in this game as well. Overall, this wasn't a surprising win, given the fact that this Warriors team was not the same Warriors team that was winning championships and games left, right, and in between. It's not the same team. So that is that's why this win doesn't surprise me. They went into the West Coast to begin this West Coast win, and they needed to make a statement, and they made that statement. It wasn't like a dominating victory, but it was still a statement win for this team, especially coming off the win over Orlando.
Yeah. All right, Tim, any thoughts on this game?
I just thought Denny played huge. Like Maroon said, he had a great defensive play at the end. And even after Beal's amazing 4-point shot to go up by a point, the Warriors still missed 2 opportunities to come back and take the lead or tie, which is a credit to the Wizards defense. And the Warriors, they started out pretty good this season, but they're really tanking. Looney's been disappointing, and I think Wiseman's out for the year. And Wiseman was one of the few Warriors that played really well. He scored 18, as you can see, but he had a really nice shooting touch on little jumpers. So I think he's going to be a really good player. And but the Warriors just are kind of crumbling at the wrong time.
All right, and Brian, final thoughts.
I wanted to go back to something Champ said, that this isn't the same Warriors team that was winning the championships. He's right. Kevin Durant's gone. He's in Brooklyn now. Klay Thompson's recovering from an injury. Who knows when he'll be back? Steph Curry's been dealing with injuries on and off. Same with Draymond Green. It isn't the same Warriors, but this is still a good Warriors team. And so this is a good win to have. I thought Beal's 4-point play was very impressive. That was probably, I haven't seen every play from the Wizards this season, but if I had to pick one, That's probably the play of the season so far for the Wizards. That's one of their top moments so far. So to win this game, to go on a winning streak at that point, to be 2 in a row, I think was really good. I know Andrew Wiggins was getting some criticism after this game from Warriors fans for his play down the stretch for them. But this was definitely a good win for the Wizards. And yeah, the Beal 4-point play is definitely going to stick out in a lot of people's minds.
For sure. I thought that was pretty incredible when I saw it myself. All right. So I'm going to just go through the scoring real quickly in the Suns game, and then I want to get into this live game that's happening as well as preview the upcoming week. The next game was pretty much a blowout, and the thing you got to know is in the third quarter is where the difference happened. The Phoenix Suns outscored the Wizards, as you can see here, 44-24, and that blew open a relatively close game up into that point. Arun, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, that 44-24 quarter was pretty huge. I thought Scott Brooks tried a Jedi mind trick on the Suns in the first half. He put Rui on Chris Paul and 6-foot Raul Neto on Mikal Bridges, and it kind of messed with the Suns a little bit in the first half. And the second half, they were not having any of it. Devin Booker made a few really nice half-court passes, bounce passes, which were Magic Johnson-esque. And the Suns are second best team in the West, so they were going to take advantage of the Wizards who played the previous night. It wasn't even a close game at all.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Tim, your thoughts on this blowout?
It's just crazy that they only had one player over 20. It was Neto. That's never a recipe for a win. Not surprised they got blown out. But this is a back-to-back with a pretty long play in between. So definitely a hard game for the Wizards. I'm not surprised they came out strong with the momentum from Friday night's win, but just got blown out in the third quarter. The Suns wanted revenge because they lost to the Wizards pretty badly in DC. So they were probably, looking to beat down the Wizards, and they definitely did. But it just, I mean, I think with this trip, it's okay to lose one of these games. It just would have been terrible if they lost to the Warriors too and got blown out. So nobody really expected them to take this game.
Yeah, so I just saw a stat. I think it's the 35th game now for Bradley Beal scoring over 25 points for this season. He's tied for the league lead in that statistical category. Bertans just hit a field goal from outside. It makes it 86-80 with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. And then again, I'm talking, and Utah scores a 3. So now it's 86-83. So again, I'll stop talking because they seem to like to score 3s when I do that. And we're going to move on, and I'm going to get Champ's thoughts on this game, and then I'm going to get Brian's thoughts as well.
I'm going to be real short and sweet with this one. The Wizards got their ass flipped on this thing, pretty much. I mean, they kept it pretty close. I mean, I had to watch the highlights because when this game was going on, I was live streaming night one of WrestleMania, so I couldn't obviously watch it. But I did go back to watch the highlights, and yeah, it was close the first half, but once that third quarter happened, the route was on. And this was just something they couldn't recover from. Yeah, Westbrook got a triple-double. Oh, good job, Westbrook. He got a triple-double. But it didn't mean anything. You didn't have Beal. Beal was out with a sore back. He was out. And you had Bertans was not playing. He was resting because it was a back-to-back. So you had a couple players that were out that could have been key in making this a lot closer game than it could have been. So bottom line is, I don't have much to say about that stuff. This is just an effort. Period.
Yeah. I have to go back and look at the exact numbers, but I think he's only like 16 or 18 triple-doubles away for the NBA all-time record. So I have to go back to see exactly what the number was. There's 21 games left. And it's funny because he might be the first person in history to have more than 20 triple-doubles in a season and have a losing record over those games. So that would be an interesting statistic that I saw some people pointing out. That's never happened before. And I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, you want to get wins. Exactly. Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen, but I can't say I'd be surprised if it did in this season. I wonder if he just tries to squeeze as many triple doubles out of this season as possible, knowing that like there's not a whole lot for the Wizards to play. Now they're only, I think, 4 or 5 games I want to say outside of a playoff spot. But they'd have to jump 3 or 4 teams, and so I still think it'd be difficult, not impossible. But I wonder what they're playing for now. Is it for triple doubles? Is it for wins? Is it for seeding? They're going to be in this awkward in between spot where they probably can't tank so low that they're going to get the top pick, but they also can't. Yeah, I think they'd get blown out even if they win the play-in game, because now the 10 plays the 7 and the 8 plays the 9 in sort of a preliminary round in the playoffs. But I don't know what they're playing for, because I just don't see them going very far, even if they were to make the playoffs. But it'll be interesting to see how things go going forward. Brian, any final thoughts on this before we move on? Brian,
I guess that's enough.
Yeah.
No.
All right, I think Brian might be frozen.
Go next.
Yeah, I think.
One tonight.
Yeah, the Knicks probably won, so he probably just froze his feed. Anyway, so that's funny. But Brian, if you hear us, jump off and jump back in, I guess. Anyway, we're gonna move on to tonight's game. Right now, the updated box score is as follows. Bradley Beal, again, as I was talking about, has scored over 27. Westbrook still stuck on 7 assists, so he needs to get 3 more assists in the next quarter and 2 minutes. It's very easy for him to do. He's at 12, 7, and 18. Right now, the score is, I believe it's still 86 to 83. I think they're coming out of a timeout. I know that Google is sometimes a little slow on this updated score box.
The MSNBC Washington Westbrook at 8 assists. He needs 2 more assists for them.
Oh, yeah. See, I told you, this thing is slow, but it's the same score, so I don't know. One of them's wrong. But anyway, the Wizards are shooting an outside 3, and they drain it. I think he got fouled on that, right? Is that a 4-point play? I think, yeah, it is. Oh, the Utah player is unhappy with that. But he hit him on the follow-through. I think it's a good call.
9 for Westbrook, by the way.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he does it. But anyway, so the potential 4-point play here. Arun, what are your thoughts on this game?
Great game by Beal. As you mentioned, he's I think he's up there. He's a tied for first with leading scores of 25 points or more. Robin Lopez or Kareem Lopez-Jabbar having a great game as well.
A vicious dunk was just thrown off of a steal. And they also an interesting stat that the most converted and ones for a 3-point to make it a 4-point play, I believe it's actually by the Wizards, if I read that stat correctly. So, or maybe they're just and ones in general. But it's interesting that the Wizards would be the best at converting and ones. I wouldn't have expected that. But yeah, I think they're playing, surprisingly well. 92-85 against Utah. Arun, any other thoughts on it?
No, just Daniel Gafford. He's having a great game as well. He came back in that ton of games. That was one positive. The Wizards are getting healthy bodies back, including Bill in this one. So, and surprised they're winning by this much against the Jazz team, who they already beat earlier in the year, and they're number 1 in the West. So we'll see what happens for the remainder of this game.
Yeah. Tim, any thoughts on this game? As we just hit another 3-pointer to make it 95-88 with just under a minute left in the third quarter.
No, just crazy that Rui and Denny haven't scored, and Bertans only has 3, according to this box score. So normally you count on those guys for a lot of points, but Beal's really picking up the slack. So maybe the Wizards just match up well against the Jazz for some reason.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think that this doesn't seem like it's updating correctly.
They're just
making stuff up, right?
A lot of points, but that would be wrong.
No, but maybe they're right. I don't know. It doesn't. In a quick cursory look, it doesn't look like there's enough points on that board. But
we're 10 to the 4-point play, so I'm sure that's
that can't be right. All right, let's try to refresh this.
Yeah, Bertans now has 7.
Yeah.
City now has 7.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Rui only had. All right, then he still has 0. That's
And Rui scored a bucket, a couple of buckets.
Yeah, so this is Jack's. We're gonna not go with that anymore. But ultimately, I can't believe they've got a 10-point lead. And they're holding for the last shot. I'm gonna keep it here, and then we're gonna take a look at the schedule upcoming. So Westbrook has 23 of Washington's 91 all-time triple doubles now. And a drive to the basket. Did he get fouled before the buzzer? I think he did. I think he's gonna go. Oh, did not. Oh no, they're saying that was not a foul. Interesting. All right, 98-88, end of the third quarter. Let's look at the schedule upcoming real fast. So there's a Kings game on Wednesday. It's a late one. It's a 10 o'clock game. And then they come back to Washington. The New Orleans Pelicans will play on Friday at 7. And then to back-to-back, they'll play again in Washington, this time against the Pistons on Saturday. And then next Monday, the Thunder come to town. It's an 8 o'clock game, and we will be obviously coming on with our basketball coverage right around 10 o'clock, 10:15. So that'll be in the fourth quarter of that game when we're coming on. So that'll be interesting to break down. Arun, Kings, Pelicans, Pistons, and Thunder, what are your thoughts on the upcoming week?
The Kings game, the two of the worst teams. I'm guessing the Wizards are going to beat the Kings. And then both New Orleans and Golden State, they're both trying to get the play-in game. Golden State is 10th and New Orleans is 11th. I think the Wizards have a better shot at beating Golden State because Zion's playing better. And other than Curry, none of the Warriors are playing that particularly well. But I'm guessing the Wizards will lose both of those games. And yeah, I think they'll beat the Thunder. I think they'll go 2-2 for the week.
Tim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all 4 games are winnable, but the Wizards don't win all their winnable games anyway. The Kings game, they should win, but I'm pretty sure Fox killed them in DC, and the Kings actually beat the Wizards. So they definitely have to be careful there, especially if they beat the Jazz. It might come in a little bit confident. I think they can easily win that game, and they won't. They should kill the Pistons again in DC, get revenge for actually getting blown out in Detroit. They could beat the Pelicans, but again, Zion's outplaying them, and the Pelicans have a better record. So, if they went 3-1 this week, maybe they would get back into the playoff hunt. They're really not that far out, but I think 2-2 is probably the most likely.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Champ, what are your thoughts?
I gotta go with the consensus of 2-2 here. I think they can take the Kings and the Thunder. So I think they're gonna get bookend wins in the 4-game stretch. But I think those middle 2 games at home against the Pelicans and the Pistons might be a couple games where they might run into trouble because of the fact that they're games that are winnable, but they'll play down to their competition and end up getting overtaken or some kind of fluke will happen. So I predict a 2-2 record where they'll bookend with a win over the Kings and then a win over the Thunder, but they'll lose to the Pelicans and the Pistons.
Yeah. Oh, I just figured out I can change the cameras and see a different set of 4 people. That's good to know. Well, I'll welcome Brian back in. I'm sorry I didn't notice that Brian was back. Brian, what are your thoughts on this upcoming week?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everybody else. 2-2 sounds likely. I'm going to say they beat the Kings and the Pistons. I don't think either of those teams are very good. The Knicks actually played the Pistons last week and just blew them out by like 40-something points. So, and I know the Wizards lost to the Pistons recently, so they're going to want revenge. So I'm thinking those are the games they win. And, 2-2 weeks sounds about right. Sorry, I kind of glitched out for a second. I don't know what happened. I think something went wrong with my phone. I glitched out for a second, but I'm back.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I just, I didn't realize that I can show which 4 people, but I can change which 4 people on this menu. So sometimes people could see me, and sometimes they could see you if we have that many people. So that's cool. It's learning things on the fly with Zoom and full screen. Did everybody get their take, or did I miss anybody? This upcoming week.
I'll take.
Taco Bell take. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the screen share there, so that way we can all join back real fast on the OBS feed. It's been an exciting week. So Russell Westbrook, triple doubles, most streaks of 5+ games. He's had the most of them. It's pretty amazing. I have to say, I don't know whether we won or lost the trade. I kind of think we won just because it's more fun to talk about the triple doubles than I just don't think we'd be that much better with Wall. But it's interesting to see this debate on how much the triple doubles really matter ultimately. It's fun to talk about, I guess, and I hope that he breaks the record. It would be funny if he went on some crazy streak and got most of these last 21 games and got triple doubles and broke it as a Wizard. It'd be something I never would have expected, and never this quickly. I thought maybe over the course of 2 seasons, but he has a real chance. I mean, it's not a high chance, but still has a chance that he could do it this year, which is kind of crazy. Tim, what are some of your thoughts on seeing Westbrook play as a Wizard?
I think it's been really exciting, and I often think, what if Westbrook wasn't on the team? Would the Wizards be a lot worse, a lot better? I think probably he makes them a little bit better overall. One thing that I shudder to think about is, what if Westbrook wasn't on the team this year? Would there be any intensity in practice, and how would players like Denny and Rui and other young guys come along? So you can't really measure that in wins yet this year, and I think he's valuable for that. But either way, it keeps it interesting, and I think they have probably a lot more viewers because he's on the team.
Going back to Carol's original question, kind of bring it back, make it full circle. Tim, do you what do you do about this coaching situation? Do you ride it out at this point? There's nothing much to gain or lose. Do we need a new coach at the end of the season? Or what are your thoughts on the coaching situation?
I definitely want the Wizards to get a new coach, because I think Brooks is a free agent, and he won't be coming back anyway. I don't think there's any point in firing him now. I don't think it would, shake up the team and make them play better at this point. There's already so many crazy things going on with Corona and, lack of fans and stuff like that. I don't think throwing in another transition would help this late, but they need a new voice. I mean, they're definitely not maximizing the talent. So, let's get somebody new next offseason.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'll let you go there, Tim, and I'm going to ask Arun some of the same questions. But any final thoughts before I let you go tonight?
No, great show. I'm glad baseball talk was back. It was fun to throw that in there, and hopefully we have a lot of wins to talk about. Like you said, I think the Wizards need to go all in or all out on this season. And the Wizards are great at tanking on purpose, not on purpose. We can do that if we have to, but we have to decide soon. And this week, I think, will determine a lot.
Yeah, you're always welcome to join us for Nats Talk. I know the Orioles are your #1 team, but I mean, the other person we have is a Yankees fan, so it'd only be fitting if we'd got one of each. Break down the Nationals. And,
it's all on Maston, right? So.
Right, exactly. So we look forward to having you on for more Wizards and maybe Nats Talk in the future, and hope that you have a good week.
Yeah, you too, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Arun, I'm going to ask you a couple of the same questions. Your thoughts overall on watching Westbrook this season and your thoughts on the coaching situation?
Westbrook has been mixed bag, especially to start the year. He was injured. I think lately, the past 10 games or so, he's been playing better in the sense that he's shooting the ball less, passing the ball more. So it'll be interesting to see how they close out the season, given that the season started earlier than everyone expected, and the whole team got infected with COVID. So maybe this last month for Scott Brooks as well to tie into that, maybe he can save his job to continue with games like this against the Jazz, or he can blow it because he keeps putting out the 3-point guard lineup. So we'll see if he's learned from his mistakes, or if it's just the fact they're shorthanded this year. Thomas Bryant is out. Beal missed quite a few games, and when Rui's out, they're 0-9. So we'll see what happens, how they close the season, and I think realistically they should probably play for the draft pick. Even just staying where they are, they have a 40% chance of the top 4 pick. But it looks like they're trying to win games. And maybe that's not the best for the long term of the team, but it's probably more fun to watch the Wizards now.
Interesting. Any final thoughts on anything else before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, just like shout out to Baylor and congrats to RG3. I believe he was in the stadium when Baylor won the national championship last weekend, or last Monday, sorry. So, congrats, RG3.
Yeah, we were all wrong, and we were so close to Champ getting to be a champion in another sport, but we were so close. But I'm excited. Once we let Arun go, we'll talk about the Champ getting to still get to be on the Brian Brennan podcast as well. But Arun, thank you as always for talking, and we'll bring you back on for future Wizards and maybe also some Nationals talk in the upcoming season.
Sure, thanks for having me on.
All right, fantastic. All right, well, Champ and Brian, I know that you guys have something really cool planned. I'm going to let Brian talk about it since it's his show, and then I'll let Champ talk about the other No Spots podcast after he's done with that. But Brian, let people know what you're doing for your special this week.
Oh yeah, so I'm really excited for my episode this Friday of On Further Review with Brian Brennan because Ken, DC People Champ Washington, will be joining me for his first time on Further Review with Brian Brennan. We will be recapping WrestleMania. I tried to watch as much WrestleMania as I could. I did. I tried to watch as much of it as I could. But either way, I think I'm pretty well informed into what's happening. And I'm gonna interview Champ about it. I'm also gonna ask him about Washington football team. The Wizards a little bit, the bracket challenge. It's gonna be really fun. I'm really excited to have Champ on. Check out the latest episode that just dropped this past Friday. That was fun too. Talking about going to New York and getting my first COVID vaccine. Just a great week for me last week. And check it all out upon further review with Brian Brennan. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait to have Champ on.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been waiting for this collab for a while. I've been behind the scenes trying to hope for it, and so I'm excited to do that. But again, upon further review with Brian Brennan, sportsothp.com, podcast partners button. Click on his link there. You'll have all the latest podcasts there. He does a great show. He's going to split time talking about New York sports, a different perspective there, but also talking about the national sports scene as well, and talking wrestling for the first time. So that'll be really cool. And I look forward to that. And Brian, thank you as always for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
No problem. Thank you. And shout out to the Yankees and the Knicks for both winning tonight, providing me a great night. Have a good one, folks.
That's awesome. So I'm happy that your teams are doing well. Right now, the Nats are up 5-2 with a runner on second, 2 outs, a full count, 3-2 here. And it was a ball. So now a first and second, and now a home run ties the game in the bottom of the ninth. The Wizards are up 109-92 over the Utah Jazz. All right, Champ, what's going on in the No Spots podcast this week?
Well, I mean, of course, we're going to recap both nights of WrestleMania, which was absolutely amazing. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to do a little bit of a recap what's going on in New Japan. They're on the road to Wrestling Dontaku. We will also be recapping the week in terms of the fallout from WrestleMania with Raw and SmackDown. NXT's on a new night, so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to have a whole lot going on with No Spots, and I cannot wait for my appearance on Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan. I'm very excited about that. This is going to be a great, great week.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that too. So that is awesome. I look forward to it. A lot of wrestling news, especially with WrestleMania. So I'm happy you guys will get it all covered over there. Thank you, Champ. As always, we'll have you on for more basketball talk and maybe even get you on for some baseball talk as we get on with the months as well. And thank you, as always, for joining us. And we'll talk to you next week.
Take care, guys. Have a good week.
All right, Champ. Take it easy, man.
All right. So, Carol, I have to say this was the most people we've ever had on Twitch. Lots of conversations. I know that you're not watching the chat with us, but full-on conversations. Lots of fans of all different sports teams watching us. New exposure. So I really appreciate everybody. We now have moderators over there. I even made Champ a moderator over there. We got bots and lots of new stuff. So just really excited about the growth over there and our push towards affiliate. You'll hear more about me talking about our push to affiliate in the month of May and try to get subscribers over there and donations and things like that coming soon. So thank you, everyone. We need a minimum of 3 people viewing to try to get to that next level. So tonight was a big part of that push, and I really appreciate everyone for coming through. We're going to do a raid once Carol does his goodbyes. Probably raid Kenny Jukebox, but I'll let people know in chat about that. But Carol, any final thoughts before we let you go and we end the show?
Watching the Nats game, 0-2 count, 2 out, 2 on, bottom of the ninth. Nats up 5-2. Brad Hand about to deliver. Outside 1-2. Just want to appreciate all the new folks tuning in on Twitch. Folks checking out my YouTube feed. I'm working on getting back on Twitter since Periscope has been redirected. I'm having some technical things I'm working on right now, trying to get it linked up. But back on Facebook. Appreciate y'all checking out the website, checking out the pages, liking the post, sharing the post, checking out Robbie's post games. This why we love doing it for, you the fans, to bring you some real sports coverage like you get nowhere else, especially in the DMV. Make sure you check out sportsothp.com for all the latest sports breaking news. Make sure you check out At the Bar Radio Sunday night, 6 o'clock. Sports, politics, current events, and as always, independent music, which I'll be playing some at the end of my feed. It's always representing Renegade, and also have a new artist that we've been highlighting. Make sure I get her name right for the folks that's tuning in. It's TJ May. She's from New Zealand. Yeah, we get music from all over the world. We're not just here in the United States. We stream all over. So if you got some music, anything you want to send in, inbox me on Facebook. Hit me up, Carol Porter III. And we'll go from there. Also, if you're in the market for a new or used pre-owned certified vehicle, come holler at me down at Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway. Get the deal done for all the best cars out there on the market. You can't go wrong with a Honda. And that's pretty much it. I'm always in the show with Renegade, and as I say, I'm gonna play another video after that. TJ May, we always highlight them on At the Bar Radio, so I'm bringing some of that flavor from the other show to this show. So as I always say, stay tuned for so much more. We got a lot going on, and just appreciate y'all riding with us.
Yeah, so a couple of scoring updates. That Nationals game is over, 5-2, so that's exciting. And then the Wizards are up 112-97 with 6:36 left in the fourth quarter. So that game could still go either way, but I'm impressed that they're extending their lead. They've been playing better and better as the game has gone on. So that game is on NBC Sports Washington. They want to catch the end of that. We're going to raid Kenny's Jukebox here, but I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Nats coverage, Wizards coverage, Caps coverage. We got a lot more for episode 3 next week. This was episode 221, or aka episode 2 of season 6. SportsOTHP.com for all the podcasts. Facebook.com/SportsOTHP for all the latest news, including all the information about fans coming back. Also, more information and videos about that trade deadline move, and all of our post-game videos and stuff like that. So lots of news, lots of stuff coming out, and we'll have a lot more information about this other show that we're going to be doing in May as well. So stay tuned for that. And I'll let Carol go on his feed, and I'll do a raid on mine. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
No doubt. Appreciate it as always.
Money. Money. know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. Money, 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 make you shut him mouth. Don't never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. You don't know what to say. Stay up out of my way. Cause money, 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 make you shut him mouth. Keep playing with the Goonies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' ball. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming, oh my God, money got me pride. They living a lie, look into my eyes, they might seem surprised. This is homicide, we just multiply. We been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money, 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 what you talking about? Day in my life, I take me a different route. Use all my case, niggas on my face. You can get erased, what you talking about? Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm balling, I'm balling, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm feeling like Robert's a horror. Nigga, I'm scoring. I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign. So independent, my money be corporate. These rappers is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that soaring. She always go ahead and let me explore it. I call her my Dora. You can go and talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii. All day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it, man. And you can never, ever, ever get rid of it. So watch what you say, and watch how you do. If you play the game, then you play by the rules. Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about.
Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, I know, I know, I know, and I'm here, and you know it, it's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. Take me to a place where everybody learns, where everybody sees, where everybody shows their love. I didn't think so. You know, that's why I owe champagne for you or me. make a promise. I'd give it some love and make a wish upon a star. You know you gotta get it right. You know you gotta get it right. Ooh, every little thing counts now. Every little bitty thing. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know. I know, I know, I know, and I'm here, and you know it. It's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. It'd be so cool just to celebrate all the love and all the hate that's going down. It's gotta stop. We've had enough. Why can't we just live together? Peace, love, and harmony is what this world needs forever. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know. I know, I know, I know.